Welcome to Outside the Ring. I am here with my guest, John Campbell.
Hello, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me tonight.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna start by asking, what got you into the world of professional wrestling?
Oh man. Okay, so it's a kind of a long story. I'll try to keep it simple. When I was a big fan of wrestling ever since I could remember. Ever since I was a little kid, wrestling's just always been a big part of my life. It was always on TV. It was basically the only thing I was ever interested in. And it got to the point where it became something that I always wanted to do, but maybe never thought I could do, to something to where it was, I had to do it. And so, fast forward years later, me and some friends, we started going to some local indie shows. We met a gentleman who had a school, and we went and got trained, and the rest is history.
Where did you start wrestling at first?
Okay, so I got trained at I don't know if their school is still around, but it's called the Electric Company, which was run by a gentleman named Eric Freedom. He ran, or still runs to my knowledge, UWE up in the Cadillac, Michigan area. And so from there, after training, like it just kind of took off, and I started wrestling anywhere and everywhere I could, all over Michigan, all over the Midwest. I got as far west as Minnesota. I got as far south as like Tennessee, and just anywhere and everywhere in between. I always just tried to get on any show that I could when I was first starting out.
How long have you been wrestling for?
Whew. And this makes me also feel old. We were talking before we were on the air about the gray in my beard and getting our video up and running. So 2026 will be my 20th year. So right now I am 18 years in. It will be 18 years in August, I believe. No, July. July 2006 was my first ever professional match. So it'll be 20 years, July 2026.
I saw that. Let's start with this. Did you start up IWE?
Yeah. So what? How this came about was me and a friend of mine. He wrestles as Stuntman Mike. He also was trained by Eric Freedom. We would go to these indie shows, and we would just, kind of see like how other people were doing things. And one day we were just kind of sitting around. Oh man, if I had a promotion, I'd do things this way. If I had a promotion, I'd do things this way. And finally, he turned to me and he's like, "Well, what's stopping us? Because we're wrestlers already. We don't have common sense. So we might as well take the little common sense that we do have and throw it out the window and start a wrestling company." And so we got the gears rolling, and that started, like the initial talks started in 2012, 2013, and then IWE was established and had our first show in 2014. So this is the 10-year anniversary year of IWE, and I'm very proud of that because we're one of the few companies, outside of when we had to stop running shows for COVID. We're one of the few companies that's been running regular shows for 10 years, like nonstop. If we weren't every month, we were every other month. And that's something that not a lot of people can lay claim to.
Um, I know you've been wrestling for a while, you said.
Yeah.
Do you wrestle for IWE?
Yeah. Yeah. So I just actually got back into the ring after about a year. I had to take some time off back in 2022. I hurt my hip really bad. I was born with kind of like a joint displacement thing that I never knew about. And so it's kind of like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. So like my hip didn't sit like in the socket right. And one time like it just kind of did one of these things and tore a bunch of stuff inside my hip. So I had to take about a year off. I had to get surgery. I couldn't walk. Like it was a rough time in my life, and I just got back into the ring October of 2023. But yeah, I am a wrestler for IWE as well as one of the people who run it.
So you said you couldn't walk for a bit.
Yeah, it was terrible, man. Long story short, like I was in a wheelchair for a while. It was actually easier for me to get out of bed and crawl to the bathroom than it was to like get in the wheelchair and go to the bathroom. So like I would just end up crawling around my house for like different things. It was rough. It was one of the worst things that I ever had to experience, and I hope I never have to experience it again. And I hope nobody out there ever has to experience anything like that. That's why I'm a real big advocate of safety in the ring. You know, let's take care of ourselves. Don't let that what happened to me happen to you, you know.
You talking about that reminds me or brings up because one of my good friends here in the wrestling world had surgery. I think he told me, I mean, he was in a boot. I
Yeah.
think he said he tore his ACL. I don't know
Oh,
how severe it was,
oh,
but
yeah, an ACL tear is pretty major. Like that's
yeah, he
surgery
was in a
time off for
boot. He
sure.
had a scooter. Think about it for a second.
Yeah.
Well, this is my next question. Do you have any rivals right now you're facing?
There's a few. Nick Van Core. Um, he's kind of my main arch nemesis right now, if you can call him that. He was the one. He actually returned to the ring the same time I returned to the ring, so we had our return match against each other. And so I guess like his sidekick buddy, I don't know where the guy came from. His name's Officer Scott Atlas, not a wrestler in any form or fashion, hasn't had any training to my knowledge. He's just some goofball that, you know, somebody hired. I certainly didn't
Uh,
hire. But like I said, I'm not the only one running the show. You know, Frankenbucket up there.
Goofball. Really? A goofball? You're gonna call me a
Yeah,
goofball,
goofball,
John?
there he is.
I bet you
Hey,
didn't know I was gonna
goofball.
be here, huh?
Well, I mean, I should have smelled you coming.
You've got a lot of good words there for me. Thank you, John. I remember
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
hired for security for IWE. Um,
Yeah, I
and
didn't hire you. And if I see, here's the thing about me and IWE, everybody thinks I have all this power. If I had all this power, you'd be gone by now. You'd be back in the Dunkin' Donuts line, you know, waiting for a handout, you know, trying to beg somebody, oh, please, please get me a donut because IWE fired me and now I'm out of work and I can't support my donut habit. That would be you. You see, you're an
Officer Scott
opportunist.
Atlas is too good for
Yeah.
donuts.
Oh, we got to get his name in, Officer Scott Atlas.
Don't you
See,
forget it.
Scott
I'll make sure
Atlas.
you don't forget it. I'll
Yeah.
make sure you don't forget it.
See, this is your MO, right? You're nothing but an opportunist. You try to come in, you attack people from behind, you interrupt matches, you disrupt everything, you screw people over. That's your MO. But being Nick Van Core's buddy, he's Mr. Opportunist. I don't know why that would be a surprise to me. But I got something special for you on April 20th. I'm not going to tell you what it is right now. You're going to have to be there. Everybody watching is going to have to be there. But I'll tell you this, don't be shocked if the night doesn't turn out the way that you are planning it to.
She better not be there.
She are listen. I don't know if she's going to be there or not. Tickets are only $10 at the door. They're very affordable. Kids 10 and under are free. As you know, we keep our shows affordable for anyone to come. So if she is going to come, I hope she comes early. I hope she gets in line early. I hope she's in the front row again. Because if she's in the front row again, that's going to kind of be an insurance policy to make sure that you stay out of my business. You stay out of Stuntman Mike's business. Because I saw you getting into Stuntman Mike's business too, having no reason to interrupt what he had going on at our last event. He was just out there entertaining the people. He was going to do a stunt. He's Stuntman Mike, for crying out loud.
I was keeping the fans safe by making sure that an old senile man didn't injure himself in front of hundreds of fans. I did IWE a service, and I was attacked.
Well, if you're trying to keep people safe, where were you during that riot at the end of the last show?
There's photos of me holding people back. I was holding people back.
No more of photos of you behind people trying to hide so you didn't have to do your job.
Where were you, John? Were you even in any of those photos? Did you hold anybody back?
Wasn't. No, I wasn't. I was recovering from my match. I went out there for a split second to see what was going on. I saw that my boys had it handled. I went back to the locker room. I didn't see you doing anything.
So what makes you so special when all those other gladiators that were out there breaking up the fight? Why couldn't you be out there with them? They all wrestled.
Because I was had matches. Like I said, like I was telling our illustrious host, I'm a little older now. You know, it takes me a little bit to recover. So I was back there recovering. I peeked my head out. I saw what was going on. I think I kicked Trevor Stroud in the head on my way out the door. And but I didn't see you doing anything. You were probably looking for the nearest Dunkin' Donuts trying to get your fix. And that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to make fun of your addiction. I'm not going to make fun of your problems, but I'm going to tell you about a problem you're going to have. You're going to have a big problem if you keep sticking your nose in my business. You're going to keep having a problem. You're going to have a big problem if you keep pretending that you're a wrestler. You're not a wrestler. You get in the ring with me. I'll prove you're not a wrestler. I will take your foot and I will shove it in your own ear. So you better back off. You better watch what you do. You better put that baton away and you better do your job. You better make sure fans don't get in the ring, which, hey, by the way, great job there. You better make sure fans don't get in the ring. You better mind your P's and Q's, because I'll tell you what, Officer Scott Atlas, I will lay my hands on a man of the law. And I don't even think you're of the law. You have security. What is security? Security is not a police officer. So calling yourself an officer is just a slap in the face to real officers out there putting their bodies, their necks on the line.
Well, you can say all that you want, John, but let me leave you with this. You say that you have a treat in store for us, for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, 24K and I go back. And I know how good he is. So if that stalker wants to show up, if you and Stuntman feel like you can take us on, you can't. You can't.
What's this us thing? What's this us thing? You're not even part of the match. I see the little graphic with Officer Scott Atlas. You're not even supposed to be out there. You're supposed to be security. But you know what? Here's the thing. If you want to play wrestler, you want to play manager, you want to play whatever you want to play, we'll play. We'll play. We'll play that game. But I'll tell you what. Don't be surprised if that game doesn't turn out to be the pain game, because you're going to be in a lot of it if you cross me and you cross Stuntman Mike again.
The pain game reminds me a lot of what you guys encounter every single day just trying to get around your house. And that's all I have to say about that.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Here we go. Well, I'll tell you what, Scott. I'll tell you what. Oh, yeah, I know. I'm getting up there. I'm getting a little bit older. The injuries are racking up, but I've seen you. I've seen what you're about. Make no bones about it. I could remove your head from your body and I could shove that head into any sort of orifice on your body that I would want to shove that in. So again, you better watch yourself.
Goodbye. I will see you April 20th, John.
Goodbye. Look at him. He can't even figure out how to
Yeah.
end the call.
All right.
What are you letting people like that on here for? I thought we were gonna have I see I came here to have a good time. I came here to cut it up with the fans. What are you doing ambushing me with jokers like that? Jeez.
Jeez. Never know.
Jeez.
Spice up the show. Make it
Yeah,
interesting.
no, I'm not worried about him.
Yeah.
He's just a fool who thinks he thinks he's a lot more than he is. So I'll let him have his 15 minutes of fame.
Who were some of your favorites to watch growing up, like wrestlers?
Ooh, see, I need to calm down. If we're gonna if we're gonna
Yeah.
answer some more questions like that, I need to calm down. Some of my favorites growing up, I loved like the big superhero guys, like when I was a little kid, like I loved Hulk Hogan, I loved Ultimate Warrior. And even though he wasn't like a big superhero, I loved Roddy Piper, Randy Savage. Savage is probably my favorite wrestler of all time. Randy Savage. I loved Bret Hart. And then as I got older, I started getting into more different types of wrestling. I started, tape trading, which, back in the day before the internet, well, I guess the internet was around because that's how we did it, but you couldn't just like download stuff.
Yeah.
So we had to get VHS tapes and set up two VCRs and copy tape to tape, and then we'd mail those to like people that we'd meet online. So like through that I would get Japanese tapes, and I'd get stuff from Mexico, and I'd get different indies and stuff like that. I discovered ECW, and ECW is kind of what made me, I guess, want to be a wrestler or think that I could be a wrestler. Because watching wrestling when I was a kid, I was a big kid, like an overweight kid, and I got picked on, I got teased a lot, I was bullied like really bad, and wrestling was kind of my escape. But then I'd put on ECW, and I'd see guys who kind of looked like normal people, you know what I mean? And I
Hmm.
thought like, well, you know I probably won't ever look like Lex Luger, you know what I mean? But I could probably get away with looking like a Tommy Dreamer or something like that, just kind of like regular people. But these regular people were doing these awesome things. And then I'd go to independent shows, and half those guys weren't in shape to begin with. So it's like, oh, well, those guys can do it, I can do it. That guy just looks like my uncle, he doesn't look like an athlete, you know what I mean? But little did I know how wrong I was and how physically demanding wrestling is. And, then I did work really hard to get myself into good shape for it. So, I kind of like long answered that, but that's kind of growing up, like the evolution of who I liked, and then those guys inspiring me to get into the business, I guess.
Here's a question for you. What are your thoughts on The Undertaker?
I like the Undertaker. As far as just the character, the gimmick, everything like that. I don't know much about him outside the ring. I guess like there's some kind of iffy stuff about him, but I don't know enough about that to go into any kind of detail. But as far as like his in-ring work and his gimmick and his character, like he's pretty top notch. What do you think about the Undertaker?
I love him, love the character,
Awesome.
love seeing him wrestle because
Who are some of your favorites? I want to hear some of your favorites. Undertaker,
Undertaker, Jeff Hardy,
Jeff Hardy.
number two. I tell everyone Taker one, Jeff two, and then the rest are changed.
Kind of interchangeable, right?
Yeah.
I kind of have that. Like people ask me, who's like your top five? And it's like my top five can be different. Like
Yeah, I can give you
depending on
top
what
two
time.
to top five.
Yeah, it's like what depending on what type time of day you ask me, my top five might be different.
And if you're gonna get a top five, I've got to throw, let's see. Damian Priest.
Okay.
Let me see. Trying to think of. Let's see.
Damian
Drew,
Priest is a really nice guy too, like outside of the ring. Um, we I met him. I did a Ring of Honor kind of, it was like a camp that they did at their old training school. This is back in like 2018, I think. And this is before he got signed with WWE, and he was one of
yeah.
the promo coaches there, and he was really good and really nice.
Um, gotta throw in Drew McIntyre. Let's see.
Drew, yeah, definitely.
And then for another number five, let's throw another legend in there. Let's throw in. hmm,
What about
I'm probably gonna throw. Let's see.
I was gonna say CM Punk fan at all?
Somewhat.
Somewhat. I was
Mm,
gonna say people are really hot and cold on him. It seems like they either
yeah.
really like him or they don't like him at all.
Yeah. Someone I interviewed who wrestles for another promotion in Michigan was telling me he actually got to go through like WWE, do dark matches stuff. He said CM Punk, great character, but outside of it, he's like bad.
Yeah, that's kind of that's what I hear. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
I
mixed
mean,
bag.
you ask the right people,
Yeah.
outside of the ring, I'm a jerk. You know what I mean? And I can be sometimes. I try not to be,
Yeah.
but I we everybody has their faults, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just passionate.
Number five, let's do Triple H.
Triple H, yeah. Triple H is one of those guys, like, I think because, and see, I don't know, I can tell by looking at you, you're very young. You're a lot younger than I am. But like back when I was growing up, I think probably like when I was around your age, Triple H had what the fans called his reign of terror,
Like
where it was just
oh
like,
two, oh three.
yeah, yeah,
That
where like
world heavyweight.
yeah, where he
I
was
know what
just
you're
like
talking
the
about.
champion of all time, and like
Yeah.
it was the Triple H show. Whenever Triple H wasn't on TV, people were just talking about Triple H. Like it was nothing but Triple H. And I think because of that, and just growing up watching that, like it was kind of like you know what I mean? Like I know he's a great wrestler, but just I saw so much of him that I never really go out of my way to watch his stuff, which I probably should because he's a great wrestler. He checks all the boxes of what makes a great wrestler,
Yeah.
but yeah, just I don't know. I think it's because like I had to watch him for so long. I can't really go out of my way to watch him right now, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's say something.
It looks like you got a lot going on. Is everything all right?
Yeah.
Like, I keep seeing you. It looks like you're reaching for stuff. It looks like got a lot. You got a lot going on.
Um, looking into in like your future at like retirement and stuff, do you plan on becoming like a manager, like a mouthpiece, or you just stick backstage?
And I don't know. And just I'm trying to my goal right now is just to make it to 20 years wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I won't lie, every day I wake up, I'm in pain. I've had a lot of injuries over the years, and just my body's breaking down. I don't know how much longer I can go. I'm going to try and stick it out for 20 as long as I can still go. I don't want to go out there and embarrass myself or anything like that. As long as the fans are still digging it and I can still do it to the best of my ability, I'm going to do so. But after that, I don't know. I know IWE is going to stick around. IWE is not going anywhere. We're, as popular now as we ever have been. Our last show, we had standing room only. We had about, 300 people there, I'd say, and this show, it's fixing to be even bigger than that. We're, expecting to have to, set up the arena different to, necessitate all the people and just, so that's IWE's not going away. Just what I do in IWE might change depending on just when I retire or how I retire.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite matches or moments from your career?
Yeah, I have a few. My top favorite match of all time. Um, and it didn't hit me until later on, after he passed away, but is the one and only death match that I've ever done on the indies, and that was with Pure Fury Jeff Klaus. And he was my tag team partner for a long time, and then of course, tag teams break up and then they feud.
Yeah.
We had this really just incredible death match, and a lot of people, it was about 10 years ago, I'd say. A lot of people still say that's like one of their favorite matches that they've ever seen. And I'm really proud of that because, like, I'm not a death match guy. He's not a death match guy. And, we went out there and we tore the house down, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud to say that we did it safely because death matches can be done safely. It's a
Yeah.
work. Yeah,
Um,
it's a work, guys. It's a magic trick. I'm not really pulling my thumb off here. You know what I mean? But so that's a match that I'm really proud of. I'm really proud of my match I had with Al Snow. I wrestled him back in 2013. I wrestled Road Dogg. It was me, my tag partner at the time, Cody Kelly, and we were in a stable with a gentleman named Rex Hart, and we were called the Canadian Hit Squad. So we had a Canadian gimmick at the time, and we wrestled. It was a gentleman named Jimmy Blaze, Eric Freedom, and on their team was Road Dogg Jesse James. And that was a lot of fun because earlier in the night we got to come out and I don't know if you've ever seen it, but when DX did the parody of Nation of Domination, this is way probably back before your time, but there are two feuding groups, Nation of Domination and D-Generation X, and D-Generation X came out dressed like the Nation of Domination and made fun of them. So we dressed up like DX and went out and made fun of him, and I made fun of Road Dogg especially. So he came out and beat us all up, and it was such an awesome time.
I
Um,
haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
Heard of it, yeah. And then I got to wrestle. It was me, my tag partner at the time, who I'm now feuding with, Nick Van Core, who I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It was me, Nick Van Core, and see, this is where the memory goes. I don't remember if it was because I don't have this on tape, unfortunately. I don't remember if it was Rex Hart or if it was Mongo. But we were doing the Canadian gimmick again, and we wrestled Chris Cairo, Steve Amani, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And doing a Canadian gimmick, wrestling Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who was the All-American guy. So cool, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been very blessed to be, in the ring and sit under the learning tree like WWE Hall of Famers and things like that. It's
Yeah.
definitely a thing that I take for granted. And so, just off the top of my head, those are some of my favorite matches.
See, to end us off, since we had Officer Scott on here, did you have any matches against him?
No, no, Officer Scott's not a wrestler.
Oh,
He's a security guard who just keeps getting involved, and
keep standing
I don't
ringside,
know. Yeah, he
picking
keeps
his
getting
nose.
involved. What was that?
Sticking his nose in business.
Yeah, he keeps getting involved, and if he keeps wanting to play a wrestler, we'll play a wrestler, and I'll let the entire world know that he's not a wrestler, and I'll show the world he's not a wrestler. He needs to stay in his own lane.
Well, that's all I have for you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. To anybody watching, please check out IWE. Our website is iwegladiators.com. You can find us on Facebook, Imperial Wrestling Entertainment. We will be back in Houghton Lake on April 20th for one of the biggest shows we've ever had, Spring Showdown. We're going to have Jeremiah J. Hughes and Dogman Bam defend the IWE tag team titles against the Cream Street Mafia. In the main event, we're going to have the world champion Bill Blackwell and Trevor Strad take on Bojack and Dave Weston. Me and Stuntman Mike, we're going to take on 24K and I have Officer Scott Atlas on the brain. I want to say 24K and Officer Scott Atlas, but he's not in the match. He's just in their corner for some reason. It'll be
where you don't
24K.
belong.
Yeah, Nick Van Core, but if he gets involved, we have a surprise for him. So, but we with all sorts of awesome matches. And again, you can check out iwegladiators.com for all the info there. And just thanks for having me on. And thank you to everybody out there for believing.
Absolutely. You forgot to say you're gonna have Frankenbucket in your corner.
Yep, right up there. Right up there. Bring a bucket.
Oh.
All right. Take care, my friend. You have a good night.
You as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.